Hey guys, this is Yoda. This video will be going over some of the patch notes Blizzard just dropped, mostly nerfing Vengeance Demon Hunter and some buffs to other specs, especially Prot Warrior and Moonkin. So first of all, we'll go over Vengeance. Silent Sigil duration reduced to 4, cooldown increased to 90, cycle CDR reduced to 2, and Soul Cleave reduced by 8%. So what this effectively means is that you'll have every 3 Silent Sigils you had before, now you'll have 2. And this duration is going to be 1 second lower. It's kind of just whatever. For the first pack of every dungeon, basically, before you were getting 3 sigils if you just like silence twice and then spam all your sigils that you have silence back by the time they're unsilenced. That won't be a thing anymore. It'll just be 2 silences on the first pull. So your group may need to help a little bit, which they didn't have to really before. I think this is really good that's really good for the game because a lot of people were forgetting that they had utilities or kicks because Vengeance Demon Hunter was just so broken. So I think that's the main change from this is that other people are going to have to help with kicks / AoE stops a lot more. Vengeance Demon Hunter itself, I don't think it's going anywhere, especially with raid buffs. The 3 DPS are just hard locked in the main comp, and then they need Chaos Brand, so that's just Vengeance Demon Hunter. I'm pretty sure if you didn't talent Silent Sigil, it would still be the best tank. So yeah, these nerfs do not move Vengeance Demon Hunter out of the meta. They just make things a little bit harder. Next, we're going to go over Balance Druid. So the tier set was buffed. I'm pretty sure before this buff, it was literally a damage loss to equip the new tier set. Like 489 pieces from last season were better than this season. Blizzard really tries to not let that happen usually, so that's good. In Pug keys, usually your comp is not like the literal perfect god comp that people are playing in the highest keys. So I think Moonkin could easily make a splash in those keys. Maybe like, not like the top groups that are only playing with the same people ever and timing like world first keys. I don't see Moonkin being played there unless your healer zones in as Moonkin. But like in the Pug keys, I think I see Moonkin being played a lot more. So that strategy we're just talking about, Resto Druid zoning in as Moonkin, I think is going to be a lot more popular now. Unfortunately, most people have been straying away from it because it's not allowed in TGP. But I think the edge you get in high keys from doing this is just going to be way too big. With Silent Sigil being nerfed, the beam is like way more valuable. On top of that, Moonkin damage is just buffed. So zoning in as a Moonkin, playing Resto, but zoning in as a Moonkin has never been like more valuable. As an example, one of the Chinese groups I saw zoned into no crit offensive, literally killed 100% trash. Their druids are rezoned, and then they just went boss. Like that's a perfectly viable strategy. I think the highest no crit was timed with that strategy. So that's a thing that hopefully doesn't happen, but I just know is going to happen. Next, we are nerfing Brewmaster for some reason. There's like 2 Brewmasters in the world who are probably just cringing from reading this, but unlucky. They did buff their strength against magic attacks and their healing, which is nice. But like, why are we nerfing Brew? Like for real? Okay. Anyway, next we go Assassination Rogue. Some compensation buffs for the over nerfs last season. Unfortunately, I think it's going to be too little too late. For those who don't know, in Season 3, Assassination Rogue was kind of overperforming at the start of the raid. But that was mostly, in my opinion, because they were getting power infusion in most raid groups. So they got over nerfed, and then there's like completely unplayable for the rest of Season 3. Now they got a little bit buffed back. I think it's probably, like I said, too little too late, but Season 4 does feature a lot more uncapped pulls and a lot more silences required now that VDH is nerfed. So Assassination could make a bit of a splash. I don't see it breaking into like the top keys, but like I said, in Pug keys, you almost never have the perfect comp, so I could see it being played there. Warlock changes. Let me preface this by saying I don't know anything about Warlock, but from what I can tell based on watching other people play, Destro Warlock is still by far the best Warlock spec. Like buffing Af. Af kind of just does the same thing as Destro, just like worse from what I could tell. So these buffs maybe will change that. I don't think they will. And then Destro got buffed on single target. So in like the main comp, Destro was the 1 DPS spec people were considering replacing Evoker with, just because of the massive damage it brings. This obviously makes their damage even more massive. So any key in high keys where you think you need damage, where rather than survivability, Destro Warlock is probably going to be the pick over Og. The problem is that like that just isn't any of the keys right now at the top level. So yeah, I think Destro's definitely going to be stronger than before. I see it being played in a lot of, potentially even top keys. But for the meta groups, I think they'll be sticking to Augmentation Evoker, Mage, and Shadow Priest. We'll see. I could be wrong with that, but we'll see. Some Fury buffs, nice to see. Fury was underperforming a bit. I don't think this is going to be enough to bring them into the meta, but it is still nice to see. Prot Warrior, these buffs are actually massive. 5% all abilities, 30% Devastator, 6% Ignore Pain, Disrupting Shout, which is their AoE kick, reduces 75. So now it has like roughly the same CD as Silent Sigil, which is kind of crazy. And then 5% more stamina and armor from a talent node. So these are actually massive buffs. To Prot Warrior, as I said before, unfortunately, the meta is what it is. Raid buffs are what they are. And they don't have Chaos Brand, so I don't see them breaking into like the meta comp, but some sort of physical comp could be playable, or you could just play Warrior instead of Vengeance Demon Hunter in the meta comp. And, it's definitely playable. It's not that bad, especially with these changes. Your group will just be doing 5% less damage, but, one key level is 10%, so it's not even a full key level. The difference between Chaos Brand and no Chaos Brand. Definitely see Prot Warrior being played in some of the top keys now, especially in the Pug scene. So hopefully, we get some more variety. All right, that is it for the video. Thanks everyone for watching.